It's minicamp and OTA season, and today we're looking at the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to be looking at George Pickens, Jaydon Blue. We're going to be talking about Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, the entire offense for the Dallas Cowboys, while looking at minicamp clips for the Cowboys, seeing what's going on behind the scenes. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're looking at practice, rookie camp, OTAs, minicamp, soon to be training camp. If you want to know what your players are doing, it's going to be right here. Your rookies, your quarterback battles, guys you're drafting soon in fantasy football. We're looking at what they're doing behind the scenes. So you're going to want to know that. Click that button. Know what your players are doing. We're looking at the Dallas Cowboys here today. We're going to start off with George Pickens. George Pickens is a huge get for the Dallas Cowboys. Huge for Dak Prescott. This is going to be a wide receiver that can push it downfield. He does not have to be the wide receiver one. He does not have to have that role anymore because we got CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb's going to be playing the short to intermediate. George Pickens getting the deep targets. I look for Pickens in this offense to push for a 20% target share, but have a very good average depth of target. I would not be surprised if there's some weeks this year that he just blows it up. With CeeDee Lamb there, and I imagine CeeDee Lamb's still going to get his, there might be some volatility up and down when it comes to production standpoint if you're looking at this for sheer fantasy football. However, if you're looking at this as a Cowboys fan, you're just happy. You're just happy because you got a guy that can win at contested catches downfield, that can get open, that has sticky hands, and that's going to play well and marry well with what CeeDee Lamb does on the field, and that's going to ultimately help Dak Prescott. That's going to help everybody in line. That's going to help the run game. But George Pickens, in a new look here, a new team, is going to get the opportunity to prove himself, going to get the opportunity to show off what he can do. At Georgia, before the injury, he looked like a first-round pick, played like a first-round pick, came back after that injury, had a couple big plays, if you remember, in those bowl games. Falls to the Steelers in the second round, but honestly should have been a little bit higher. George Pickens has the potential to help out this team big time. Big time. Especially how explosive they can be downfield. Just another weapon. Now we're looking at Jaydon Blue. We've talked about him a few times this offseason. It's hard to get clips on the Dallas Cowboys. But the big thing that I'm reading right now from the Dallas Cowboys is Miles Sanders looks good. Miles Sanders has looked good. And what I've been saying going into this, and while talking about Jaydon Blue during those videos when we're looking at his cut-ups from practice, is that Miles Sanders tends to look good in training camp, minicamp, and OTAs. He did it with the Panthers. He catfished them into thinking that they need to have almost a 50-50 split with Chuba going into the season. They had a closer workload in that week 1 blowout against the Saints, and they realized it wasn't happening. Javonte Williams kind of quiet with him, but training camp when the pads get on, that's going to be interesting to see. And then on top of that, you're looking at Jaydon Blue. Everybody's excited about him. We got big-time speed. We can catch the ball in the backfield. Miles Sanders has an injury history. Javonte Williams, we really want to see more out of him in training camp, see what's going on. But it looks like, or sounded like he was the big get this offseason. So we want to see how this backfield plays out. But you also, like leaving camp, you got the ambiguous nature to it. You saw Mingo right there. He's trying to get right. Former second-round pick. Good size, adjusted athleticism there. Going to help the offense if he can take a step forward. And he doesn't need to take much of a step forward. He just needs to be out there, be able to run some routes. Never going to be enough to amount for fantasy football unless you're really like nickel and diming things in your DFS matchups. If you're really going that deep, trying to win $1 million. Stacking Cowboys. Jalen Tolbert's still on the team. He gets a little bit better every year. And the fact that we got Pickens there, that's going to zap some of his opportunities. But he gets a little bit better every year. And in training camp, he makes some big grabs. So I wouldn't be surprised if you catch some buzz about him later on down the road. Ultimately, Dak Prescott, if everybody stays healthy, which is always a big if, especially when you're looking at the Dallas Cowboys, because it feels like something weird happens with them every year, that it looks like he could be taking a step forward, and it could be a huge step forward for Dak Prescott. His production could be a sneaky bet in fantasy football as well, because Not only you got Lamb now, you got Pickens. You got an upgrade at wide receiver. You got good ball skills, a guy that can get downfield, make plays happen. You got some good depth here at wide receiver. I'm not a huge fan of Mingo, but considering like you got him as a depth piece now, that's something to look at. I'm looking at Tolbert. Tolbert's been in play. The team loves him. The team loves him. At least they used to. You used to hear a lot about him from the podcasts, from the Dallas Cowboys and everything else, that how much they love that kid. Now you're looking at Ferguson. You're looking at what we got here. It's going to be an interesting team. You're watching this backfield in training camp. That's what you're looking for. Everything's in stone with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens. No one's going to beat them out. That ain't happening. It's this backfield. There's a battle here, it looks like. Miles Sanders is making a push. And that concerns me. That concerns me because what we've seen from Miles Sanders over the course of his career, he's got good athletic specs. He's had his moments where he looks like things were going to turn around, but it hasn't. But the thing is, it's been a bit. It's been a bit since Miles Sanders. And the thing is, like, if Javonte Williams ain't beating out Miles Sanders, what do they really have in this backfield? But that could also mean that Jaydon Blue could be on the horizon. Watch Phil Maffa, watch the other running backs. It might be more ambiguous than realized, but you're not really going to know till the pads are on. And because, honestly, you're looking at minicamp and OTAs, and they're working in drills, it's against air. It's the underwear Olympics. So you really don't know. And you really don't know. And it's very limited when we're getting workout clips from the Dallas Cowboys. That's kind of why I'm doing this video that's broadly talking about the Dallas Cowboys, because I haven't been able to get much. And I got a lot more from all the other teams. Maybe the Rams. They're pretty quiet. The Rams are very quiet. There's a couple players I'm dying to get clips off of. Jarquez Hunter for sure. But Jaydon Blue, there's Tolbert. They love Tolbert. Turpin, got speed there. But mainly, I believe CeeDee Lamb's going to have some blow-up weeks. I believe that. But I also believe George Pickens is going to get his as well. I mean, George Pickens is going to have those blow-up weeks. And there's going to be some times where CeeDee Lamb gets his. And he's going to take over most of the offense, get his targets in those games. And then there's going to be those moments where George Pickens cashes downfield, has that big moment, that big grab downfield, a couple nasty touchdowns, and he's just going to score great for fantasy. He could be a little bit volatile, but maybe some low-end production here and there, but the high-end production is definitely going to be there. Like, I would not be surprised if we get a few 20-pointers, pushing some 30-pointers from him this year. I would not be surprised at all. I would not be surprised if we look back on the season and say, hey, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad of a ride here, even though he was sharing the field with a target monster. Like, I believe that average depth of target is going to allow him to push for some heavy weeks. I think we're going to be watching Jaydon Blue. I think he's going to get his opportunity to shine somewhere down the line this season. I think looking at this backfield, I think Javonte Williams is a guy you still need to pay attention to. I'm Googling. I'm looking at what people are saying about this backfield. I hear Miles Sanders this, Miles Sanders that. I think you still need to be looking at Javonte Williams because we haven't had the pads on yet. We haven't been cracking the pads. You need to be paying attention to that. But honestly, George Pickens is going to be huge for this offense. Going to be massive for this offense. And I believe he's going to have his moments this year. Now, if you're looking for this game-to-game, like I said, you're going to have a few downers. You're going to have a few blow-up games and probably some good wide receiver 2 weeks out of that. But all in all, you look at that point per game wise, you're going to have a few matchups where he wins it for you. I think he'll give you about 3 to 4 wide receiver 1 weeks. And that's pretty good considering Lamb's going to be cashing. Lamb's going to be getting those targets. That's going to be pretty solid for a high-end wide receiver 2 that you got with Pickens now. Second line of targets in this offense. But those deep balls, that deep threat, the ability to make those contested catches, the playmaking ability. And if something does happen to Lamb, you got a wide receiver 1 here. You got a wide receiver 1 here. And you know how attrition happens in football. Something happens to Lamb, you got a wide receiver 1. So, like, you're going to lose some beats, but still, it's better than what a lot of teams have. And you got to look at this wide receiver duo as a nasty one. As a nasty one. That's the thing about this. This is one of the nastier wide receiver duos in the league. And it could hit hard this year. It could hit massively hard. But I'm excited to see how this all plays out. The backfield's what I'm really watching. Javonte Williams versus Miles Sanders. I didn't think we'd ever have that here. I did not think. But Jaydon Blue, that could be the indicator that he might be on the horizon somewhere down the line. If not this year, next year. But that speed's going to be a good X factor. A different club coming out of the bag as you're approaching the green there. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.